Good afternoon, Packers fans. Welcome to your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Thursday. Do you know where your NFL safety is? Because goodness knows they're probably out on the street somewhere. Holy Toledo. It's a bloodletting at the position. Free agency is a couple days away, and they undoubtedly have, they have just kind of flooded the market, and there are going to be some choices to be made when it comes to trying to find the one that fits best and fits perfectly what the Packers want in Jeff Hafley's defense. Just a list of the dudes is incredible. You got Xavier McKinney, you got Gilman, Baird, Gibson, Poyer, Elliott, Geno Stone, who I suspect will probably just end up in Seattle, Julian Blackman, Jordan Whitehead, Kevon Wallace, and this morning, Justin Simmons. I mean, this is a group right here that Brian's going to have a chance to sign somebody of note, of significance, especially when you consider the fact that this safety class is not very deep. I got to think that one of these guys is going to be in play in Green Bay. Something to keep track of these next couple days, because most of these guys that are on the street, the Packers can sign immediately at any moment. They don't have to wait for the start of free agency, and it doesn't affect the comp pick formula if they've been released. So I got to think some calls are being made. Um, and it is fascinating to see the discussion around the position, and some of the players are starting to chime in. I mean, we're not quite at the running backs don't matter level yet, but sure feels like the league is kind of trending that way at the safety spot, which is, of course, fascinating. I want to give a shout out to everybody who signed up for the Cheesehead Nation newsletter. Our second edition went out this morning. Thanks to everyone. We've had a great response here on YouTube. People signing up, enjoying. We just got another email about someone saying how much they enjoyed it. I really, really like putting this thing out every week. I hope you guys can sign up and join us all off season. We're going to have tons of Packers, Cheesehead TV content. Eventually, we'll have some exclusive stuff, probably once the season starts. But thanks to everybody for hopping on board. It's been a lot of fun these first 2 weeks. Hello to everybody in the comments section. So good to see everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Dennis is here. And I have just gotten the funniest text from my oldest daughter. This is absolutely real. Just had a Cheesehead TV fan recognize me at my shift meeting Mickey. LOL. For those of you who don't know, my oldest, is in the Disney College program and is a character attendant at Disney World. And apparently just had someone who is a Cheesehead TV supporter recognize Madeline, which is kind of crazy. I was talking to Patrick, who owns Kettle of Fish here in New York City, when I saw him at the Super Bowl one screening at the Paley Center here in New York a couple weeks ago. And we were talking about the fact that he's kind of watched my kids grow up on social. He's met each and every one of them. They've all been down in the village with me at one point and always stop by and say hello. But it is weird in this internet age. Like, people have watched my kids grow up, and now my oldest is off at Disney. It's kind of mind blowing when I think about it. Andrew asks, could some of these safeties be semi inexpensive too, or would they be expensive? Really depends on age, injury history, and fit, really, as far as there's no doubt that the Packers are going to want to kick the tires on a few of these guys. Um, I think McKinney and Simmons most definitely will have a price here, a heftier price tag. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be out of the Packers' range. The thing is, especially with the kind of numbers of guys on the market, I think that kind of hurts their position to be able to kind of drive a bargain and try and drive that price up. I don't doubt for a moment that a lot of these guys are going to end up getting signed for like 1 year deals, probably on a quote unquote prove it deal, maybe like a 2 year deal somewhere. But I would tend to think now it's not going to be for the vet minimum or anything. They're gonna get paid, but I would suspect that's what a lot of these teams are going to do to fill these spots where they've cut safeties and they need that help on the back end, unless they have like some guy in the hopper, which the Packers really don't. And I know they spent a seventh round pick on Anthony Johnson Jr. last year, but it was very clear that that was a major transition from what he was being asked to do in college to what he was doing in Joe Barry's defense. Maybe he takes to Hafley's defense and really hits the ground running, but obviously that's not the plan. He will be in the mix to compete, but yeah, these guys are going to, I think, find a pretty depressed market as far as safeties getting paid goes. Got some super chats here. We got RJ. What's going on, man? In baseball, we have win shares equals how players' efforts numerically translate to wins. Any coach below the head coach level the last 30 years that would have a higher cumulative win share than Tom Clements. Any Clements stories to share? I mean, when you talk about his work with Favre, Rodgers, and now Love, it'd be hard to top, right? It'd definitely be difficult to beat. As far as stories, Tom really keeps to himself. I have not interacted with Tom too much. Once or twice around the facility, I think once on the road, but yeah, that is not a guy who really puts himself out there with the media too much. Haven't seen him around town when I've been in town for camp. So yeah, it's not a guy I've had a ton of interaction with, but I will say he's always been really good to the media when I've been around. He's been good to me as far as answering questions and things like that. But it's pretty professional, and there ain't a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes, so to speak, that I can speak on. Maybe someone on the beat has that, but it certainly isn't me. Roberto, what's going on, man? Jin from Carolina would be low risk, high reward. Yeah, I really liked his game. It'd be fascinating to see if there's a chance there. Um, I'd be lying if I said like he has a better chance than any other guy out on the market, but certainly a name to watch. Jocelyn, what's up? Glad Matt LaFleur had quality time with his son at the Marquette game. Woo, baby. I don't know if you guys saw the Cheesehead TV tweet last night, where there was the shot of Matt and Eberflus at the Marquette game, and then Tyler put the gangs like calling a truce meme next to it. I sent that to Matt, and he just responded "Dumb and Dumber" in relation to he and Eberflus being there. Man, there were some people heated on the internet about that this morning. Man, what is this? The year of our Lord 2024? We're going to talk about how he shouldn't be fraternizing with the enemy. What are we doing here, folks? I mean, the players all work out together in the offseason from other teams. It's totally fine that Matt LaFleur is going to a basketball game with the head coach of the Bears. It's not Forrest Gregg and Mike Ditka, people. We have evolved. We are, enlightened as human beings now, or at least I thought we were, comparison to what I saw on Twitter this morning. Holy Toledo. Julian, what's going on? Random Packer, Devontae Adams. That's well played. Well played. Mike Witt, what's going on? Any chance at a Micah Hyde reunion next week? I will be shocked if that occurs. I'm never say never, but I really feel that he's going to have options. People are probably going to pay him, and I don't think the Packers are going to be that team. I also feel like when he left, I know on his agent side there was some, I'm not going to say bad blood, but he was not happy with the Packers at all. Now, that was a while ago, obviously, and it is show business, not show friends. So who knows? But it feels like that ship has sailed. But never say never. David, what's going on, man? Nags, do you think Hafley's defense calls for free and strong safeties or focus more on just ball players? Well, we've heard both he and Matt and also Goody talk about the desire for, guys to be interchangeable. We did hear him talk about the post safety um, in relation to kind of the middle fielder, right? I think they are going to have a guy who is undoubtedly kind of the closing down the middle of the field when they play a lot of cover three, where they have the corners drop deep, put their half zones basically, and then the kind of middle guy takes that middle of the field away, supposedly. And this is a very dumbed down version, right? And then they have another safety in the box towards the line of scrimmage, things of that nature. So in the old school football parlance, yeah, you'll have what essentially functions as a free and a strong, but they want to be able to do everything. The dream is to have two guys where you can deploy them in either of those directions, and the offense and the offensive coordinator and the quarterback can't key on it, because a lot of the stuff that you're asked to do as a quarterback is pre-snap reads. One of the things you always look at immediately, in most passing plays when you take the snap, is the rotation of the safeties. Where are they going? Because a lot of times that will tell you and that will guide you and lead you to what type of coverage you're facing. So your idea on defense is to make sure that those guys don't give the offense information just by their presence. Now, that's very easily said. It's a little tougher to do, a little tougher to find guys who can do everything that's asked at all those positions, right? Um, but yeah, I think ultimately they're going to try and get as close to that as possible. Now, will they succeed? We'll see. The safety position has been a real bugaboo in Green Bay for a long time, which I know I don't have to tell you guys. Nick, thanks for the super chat, man. Wolf had Reggie, Ted had Woodson. Now Goody's turn. I've seen this comparison a lot. I mean, no pressure, right? Right? I mean, here's the thing. Goody has kind of formed his nucleus now, like both of those guys did, as far as having drafts that really formed a foundation for a team that hopefully goes on a run and wins a championship. Well, Brian's done that, especially these last two drafts. That's his kind of foundation now, right? Got his quarterback already, got that foundation, and now would it be time in that kind of trajectory for him to go get a game changer? Yes, it feels like it lines up that way, right? Is there a guy out there on par with those two players you mentioned? I doubt it, just by the nature of the beast here in the NFL, the way that the franchise tag is fully operational, to quote Palpatine. Um, yeah, those kind of difference makers very rarely make it out into the market, right? Now, that doesn't mean you can't sign someone who's going to help them immensely, right? I think that will happen. But man, those are lofty goals when you're talking about not just Charles Woodson, but Reggie White. I mean, I'll say arguably just because I know fans of other teams watch this on occasion, but let's be honest, the greatest free agent signing in the history of the league. I'm not expecting that out of Brian Gutekunst in 2024. That's just me. That's just how I roll. Your mileage may vary. Um, Chris, what's going on, man? Nags, if it happens with Hyde, just know I called it. You and like 4,000 of your friends, but yeah, I got it, buddy. You're on it. Mike Witt, what's going on? Since it's free agent season, random Packer Joe Johnson. Ooh, we've just gone from the greatest free agent signing, not only in Packers history, but of the history of the league, to the worst Packers free agent signing of all time. Joe Johnson. Mike Sherman, full control as GM, plots his demise. That Joe Johnson signing, holy Toledo. That was terrible. I'll never, ever get over how disappointed I was with his play that first year in Green Bay. Oh, my God. He was going to be this great defensive force for the Packers up front, and he just got run over and completely shut down. And anything he tried to do rushing the passer, it was ugly, man. That was ugly. Joe Johnson. Incredible. Soder, what's up, man? Safety talk. RP's Steve Luke and Johnny Gray. Johnny Gray. Now we're getting into it. Now we're doing some random Packer stuff with Johnny Gray. Let's go. Johnny Gray is the man. Richard, what's going on, man? No Packer take today. Just want to wish my oldest daughter and my future son-in-law a happy and wonderful future together. Getting married tomorrow. Feeling old. Proud dad. Go Pack Go. Richard, congratulations. Congratulations to the lucky couple. I hope they have a long, healthy, fruitful life together, and I hope they're both Packers fans, so there's no arguing about which game they're going to watch. Richard, that's awesome, man. I feel you on the getting old thing. I'm talking about my daughter down at Disney World, right? Man, wasn't she just like 3 or 4 years old? Now she's like got a job and stuff. Like, oh man, I'm getting old. Definitely getting old. Oh, Brandy wants to know, Richard, is it an open bar at the wedding? I mean, you are paying for it, right? Father of the bride? Come on now. Yeah, Pack Daddy's got it right. Joe Johnson got 6 years, 6-year deal at $33 million in 2002. That was crazy money back then. It absolutely was. That was funny. Mina Kimes brought this up yesterday. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago on Twitter about the $86 million dead cap hit that the Broncos are, carrying for Russell Wilson. And I was like, yeah, I remember when Troy Aikman got waived by the Cowboys, and the thought that he was going to count 10 million on their cap was as dead money was absolutely insane, like complete insanity. And now it's 86 million. Lord. Jocelyn, what's going on, man? 12 said the shot play to 87 was called fish for the throw to the far hash. That's my second favorite meaning of the word fish. Hey-o. Ho. Well played. Let me see what I got here. Craig, what's going on, man? Next, can you give a brief explanation on the skill set difference between a safety and a DB? Are they basically the same? Oh, skill. I think you missed a K there. Gotcha. Skill set difference between a safety and a DB. Believe you mean CB because that would be cornerback. DB means corner and safety. That's defensive back and cornerback. Skill set difference. Fluid hips is a big one, and being able to uh, change direction at the drop of a dime. Safeties, obviously, you would like them to be better tacklers, and you're probably going to find more speed at the cornerback position. There are, probably more minutia types of differences you could get into, but broad strokes, that's what you're looking at. Like the safeties are going to be guys that can, hopefully cover a tight end up the seam or maybe take a running back out of the backfield, but they're not being tasked generally with taking on these great wide receivers that we see coming into the league year after year. Whereas, the corners, they've got to have incredible dexterity and change of direction ability, not to mention, physical traits as far as you want probably, especially if you're going to be a physical press man team, you want a guy with longer arms, somebody who's able to get up on that line of scrimmage and jam the wide receiver. Safety, not as important, right? But again, you want the safeties to be a little bit more physical, coming downhill, supporting the run game and trying to make those tackles in the hole rather than, having them burst for 20 plus yard gains that turn into touchdowns in divisional championships. Essentially that's the gig. That's how it rolls. Rich. Oh, we got a bunch of super chats here. Here we go. Matthew, what's going on? Bears still suck. Gonna lose 0 to go 17-0. Go Pack go. Always the optimist, Matthew. I love it. Richard, you're back. It's definitely an open bar. It is Wisconsin after all. That's my guy right there. Andrew Ware, what's going on, man? That 2003 run game, though. I will tell you, when Favre broke his thumb that year, and they could just line up, and the entire stadium knew they were going to run the ball, and they still did at 5 yards a fucking clip. You're doing something pretty damn special, and that run game was special. I mean, this is why I always talk about Sherman being like derided for his general manager stuff, and rightfully so. But man, the stuff he did that year, especially in the run game, is really special. If you get a chance, if you're a total geek and you want to go back, a lot of those games are on YouTube. It's incredible, man. The work they did up front, some of the angles stuff, a lot of the counter, the power, the way Amon Green and Davenport and Fisher just found holes, and they had ability to get outside, get off a block or get off a contact and make something out of nothing at times. But the whole place, everybody in the building would know they were running the ball, and they still ran the ball effectively, down in and down out. That was an incredible run game, no doubt. Anthony, what's going on, man? 30 years is 30 years, but it's still crazy to look back and see the 1994 salary cap is 34.6 million. I mean, yeah, it's nuts. And, the change of the media landscape, the ecosphere in that regard has certainly fed this explosion as far as the cap goes, but it's kind of hilarious to look at some of the deals that, get meted out as a result and then compare them to, say, Major League Baseball or something like that, or even some NBA contracts. And most of the NFL guys aren't sniffing that, even though their league and sport is exponentially more powerful and exponentially more popular, I should say. Those owners, they got them under lock and key there in those early days of the CBAs, and they aren't looking back. No question about it. Mike Witt says, watching the draft this year at Stadium View. That's interesting. Have you done that before? I've never heard of people watching the draft at Stadium View, but I guess it's good a place as any. What's fun is that we've been talking to 97.3 The Game about some potential kind of partnership where Cheesehead TV would do maybe something like live in a space somewhere around Lambeau, some kind of draft party, etc., especially on that first night, the Thursday night. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe you want to go to that instead. Who knows? But we're going to be doing something kind of expansive around this year's draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, buddy. I'm going to have to get going. I can't thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Soder, I have good news for you, my friend. Tonight at, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be playing Madden on the Cheesehead TV Twitch channel. So make sure you catch that live because I'm going to be taking on one Tyler Herrick. Hopefully it's on the Twitch channel. It might end up maybe here on the YouTube channel as well. I don't know for sure, but be ready because Tyler, he's 0-6, but now he's got his precious, next gen matchup that he's been pining for. So I'm sure that he's going to be ready for me and have all sorts of tricks up his sleeve, and I'm very excited. I can't wait to take on the young. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm going to have to get going. Can't thank you enough. Please, please, please hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.